Hello, Blake Lively here.
Colleen Hoover.
And It Ends With Us is in theaters now, so grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it.
Hey everyone, Justin Baldoni here, and I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much to all of you who have supported us from the very beginning, from when we optioned the book and announced it. Now this has been a passion project and something that has been so near and dear to my heart and so many, and it wouldn't happen without you.
There's major news coming out of the Southern District of New York. Judge Lewis Lyman has issued a new decision that could completely change the ongoing legal fight involving actress Blake Lively, her husband Ryan Reynolds, their company Vanzan Inc, and former Baldoni publicist Stephanie Jones. This ruling focuses on the counterclaims filed by Jenn Abel, and while the judge dismissed several hacking-related claims, two serious ones remain, and they might be the most damaging of all. These surviving claims go right to the heart of the story: how Jenn Abel's private phone data allegedly ended up in the hands of Blake Lively and her company without her permission. According to court filings, Abel claims that her phone data was accessed without her consent, cutting her off from her personal accounts. That data was then allegedly shared with Vanzan Inc and used in a lawsuit connected to Blake Lively. Judge Lyman's latest decision allows Abel's most important claims, violations of California Penal Code Section 502 and a conversion claim, to move forward, meaning they can now go to discovery and possibly trial. Under California's computer crime law, it's illegal to knowingly access someone's data without permission. The law doesn't require the information to be secret or work-related. Any unauthorized access can violate the statute. Abel says Stephanie Jones did exactly that she knowingly used Abel's passcode and accessed her iCloud data after being told not to. The judge agreed that these allegations are strong enough to proceed. Abel had given her passcode only to help transfer her phone number, but says Jones later used that same access to view her private files. The court found this claim plausible, emphasizing that Abel had no reason to believe Jones would ever look through her personal data after the number transfer was done. The second claim, conversion, is basically civil theft, when someone takes or interferes with another person's property and prevents them from using it. Abel alleges she was locked out of her accounts, phone number, and two-factor authentication codes, forcing her to spend time and money regaining control. Judge Lyman ruled that these allegations show real harm, so that claim also survives. Together, the two claims paint a serious picture. Abel says her phone was taken, her data was accessed without consent, and that information later fueled a legal attack against her. The judge dismissed some of the federal claims, like the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act and the Wiretap Act, but gave Abel a chance to fix and refile them. To strengthen those claims, she must show exactly where the data was stored, for example, if the stolen screenshots came from her iCloud or Gmail, and whether any of her messages were intercepted live in real time. She'll also need to provide clearer details about how this invasion of privacy caused emotional harm, such as stress, anxiety, or damage to her reputation. This case now puts Stephanie Jones and possibly Blake Lively in a tough position. If Abel can prove her data was taken in California and then used by Lively's company, it could raise both civil and criminal issues. The surviving claims allow Abel to demand evidence and question how her private information traveled from her phone to Jones, then to Vanzan, and finally into a court filing. In short, this ruling keeps the most damaging allegations alive: unauthorized access to private data and theft of digital property. If Abel can prove her claims, it could reshape not just this lawsuit, but possibly the public's perception of everyone involved. Jenn Abel now has to strengthen her lawsuit by adding more precise details. She must clearly explain who made the promise, when it was made, and how she relied on it. She also needs to describe how that reliance caused her harm. Without these details, her claim will remain weak. The judge wants her to include stronger evidence, especially about how her iCloud data was accessed, and to expand on her claims related to privacy, distress, and reputation damage. Right now, her examples and proof are too general. But since the judge allowed her to amend her claims, the case is still alive. If her team provides more specific information, those dismissed claims could come back stronger than before. For Stephanie Jones, this ruling is a serious setback. Two major claims against her are officially moving forward: the violation of California's computer crime law, Section 502, and the claim of conversion, which means wrongful taking of property. Jones, who once worked as Justin Baldoni's publicist, is accused of accessing Abel's phone and data without permission. The Section 502 claim directly accuses her of illegally entering Abel's digital accounts, while the conversion claim connects her actions to the actual harm, the lockouts, the data loss, and the personal and financial damage that followed. The judge stated it doesn't matter whether the information was personal or work-related. What matters is that Jones had no right to access it. Because of this, Abel will now be allowed to request emails, messages, and any digital trail left by Jones. This discovery phase could uncover exactly what happened and who was involved. The danger for Jones is that Section 502 isn't just a civil law, it can also lead to criminal charges. That means if the evidence shows she acted knowingly or with intent, prosecutors in California could open a criminal investigation. If Abel's claims hold up, it would mean Jones not only accessed the data illegally, but also set off a chain of events that led to its misuse by others. That's where Blake Lively and her company, Vanzan Inc, come into the picture. Abel alleges that Jones sent the stolen data to Vanzan, which is owned by Blake and her husband Ryan Reynolds. She claims this information was then used to create a false legal case, a sham lawsuit, designed to make stolen data look legitimate. Court records show that Abel's phone data may have been accessed in August, and shortly afterward, Vanzan allegedly filed a lawsuit using subpoenas to disguise how the information was obtained. The judge has already allowed Abel to access Vanzan's internal emails and communications. This could reveal whether Jones shared screenshots with the company and if Blake's team, or their lawyers, knew the data was stolen. If Abel can prove that the information moved from her phone to Jones, then to Vanzan, and finally to Blake's team, the consequences could be enormous. It would mean the evidence used in Blake's lawsuit was unlawfully obtained. The court could then throw out that evidence, and Abel could win damages. The judge even suggested that if Blake's side knew the data's origin and still used it, there could be sanctions. Abel now has until October 31st to file her updated complaint, which will likely lead to another motion from the defense. However, the judge has already made it clear that the two main claims, Section 502 and conversion, are strong enough to stay in the case. Even if other claims change, these two will continue. In short, this ruling means that Abel will get the chance to trace exactly how her private data was taken and used. And if she succeeds, both Stephanie Jones and Vanzan could face serious legal trouble, civil, and potentially criminal. If Stephanie Jones really got access to Jenn Abel's phone data through illegal means, then she never had the right to possess it. Under California's computer crime law, Section 502, any access made without permission is a violation. That means any subpoena directed at Jones, or any documents she provided as part of that process, could be considered tainted. Essentially, if the information was stolen, it should never have been used in court. This could prove that the entire subpoena process was invalid because it was based on illegally obtained material. The so-called Doe lawsuit, which Vanzan Inc filed, now looks like it might have been a tool to disguise or launder stolen data, making illegal access appear like normal legal discovery. If this turns out to be true, all evidence that came from Jones through Vanzan could be thrown out. It would also raise serious questions about whether Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' company knowingly used stolen data in their own legal filings. If Jenn Abel can show that Vanzan acted as a middleman for this information, the credibility of Blake and Ryan's entire case could collapse. This could also open the door for serious penalties. If the judge finds that Blake's team, or their lawyers, knew where the data came from and still used it, they could face sanctions, or even punitive damages. More importantly, California law allows liability to extend beyond the person who did the hacking. Anyone who helped, encouraged, or benefited from the unauthorized access can also be held responsible. That means if Blake or her company knowingly used the stolen information, they could also be added to the lawsuit under Section 502. The situation becomes even more serious because Jenn's legal team already has access to emails and communications between Vanzan and Stephanie Jones. These records could reveal whether Blake's company or attorneys were aware of how the data was obtained. If discovery shows that they knew the information came from Abel's phone and still used it, that would justify adding both Blake and Vanzan to the case directly. Jenn could argue that they played a role in exploiting stolen material to build their own legal strategy. Adding to the complexity, Jenn's lawyers have already taken depositions from Vanzan representatives and are now able to analyze digital evidence, including timelines, email trails, and messages. These pieces could connect every step, from when Abel's phone was accessed to when the data reached Blake's team. If that link is confirmed, it strengthens Jenn's argument that her private data was misused and manipulated to attack her in court. While some of Jenn's federal hacking claims were dismissed, the judge gave her permission to refile them with stronger evidence. If she can include clearer proof, such as examples of specific files or messages taken from her iCloud, those claims could be revived later. For now, the California Penal Code claim remains the most powerful part of her case. It not only keeps the lawsuit alive, but also opens the possibility of criminal investigation if state prosecutors in California decide to get involved. In short, this latest ruling is a major win for Jenn Abel. It supports her argument that her private data was stolen and later used to harm her legally. It also casts doubt on the legitimacy of Blake Lively and Reynolds company's actions, suggesting that their so-called legal process may have been built on unauthorized and unlawfully obtained information. If proven true, it could damage their reputation and lead to serious legal consequences. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments.